It began in school, in quite a typical fashion, I think, with the familiar figure of an English teacher who excited me about it, or at least actually just kind of turned the ignition on and released it. I remember the incident clearly. He stopped me in a corridor and suggested I write something for a poetry club, after school club that we had at school. And I went home and did, and almost immediately knew that that's what I was going to do, and that was in some sense what I was for, that I'd kind of discovered my identity at that stage in my life, and wrote kind of immediately, torrentially. And sort of subsequently the path that I followed and the decisions that I made flowed really in a straight line from that moment. So The Broken Word is a narrative poem, and it's set during the Mau Mau uprising, towards the end of the British colonial period in Kenya, so in the mid-50s, and it describes very violent and extreme events that happened firstly when Kikuyu, but other ethnicities, but particularly Kikuyu people, started to rise up against the British settlers, and then a massive and rather asymmetrical response by the British, which involved imprisoning vast numbers of people and torturing many and killing many. So those are the events, and it's, as I say, a narrative poem. It was something I thought about writing in prose, but realised quite quickly I wanted to write in poetry for the technical resources of poetry, particularly breaking lines, which is very good for achieving the violence in the poem, of which there's a lot, because it allows you a very tight control of the way the reader moves through the experience. And you can use line breaks to give a sense of kind of running on into something uncomfortably, or bringing the reader up short suddenly, or putting all kinds of surprises around the corner of the line break. So it was particularly that, and particularly a sense that I had that I wanted to write in a very hard and classical and sort of cinematic style, without sort of editorializing, without expatiating on these things, just giving the reader the strongest, most intense version of the central character's experience. I mean, in a way, I will be unusual on this list, because I've been kind of at arm's length from the poetry world. It was what I wrote solely for a long time into my early 20s, and then started writing short stories, and obviously I've published 3 novels now. But I wasn't publishing in magazines. I didn't go through, the standard kind of magazine publication, pamphlet publication, collection. And I've sort of parachuted back in with quite an unusual thing, which is a narrative poem. So to some extent, I'm less familiar than others might be with the intricacies of the British poetry world as it is right now. I'm very happy to be welcomed back in this way.